Stream unavailable. Stream suspended for policy violations. Okay, what are the policy violations? Wow, look at this. Shut down for talking about the Epstein files. On Friday afternoon, I was live streaming a deep dive into the relationship between Jeffrey Epstein, former Prince Andrew, and Epstein victim Virginia Giuffre. The stream began with a discussion of current developments in the Epstein case, followed by a historical presentation that I was outlining Prince Andrew's relationship with Epstein. I then transitioned into providing commentary and analysis of Prince Andrew's 2019 interview with the BBC. Approximately 20 minutes into the BBC interview, I received a copyright strike and the live stream was terminated. Afterwards, I started a new stream and continued offering commentary. The second stream was also hit with a copyright claim towards the end, though it was allowed to remain on my channel for public viewing. Because I believe these discussions are extremely important, I edited and combined both streams into the single video, removing the BBC interview footage. I am currently disputing the copyright strike under fair use. I will not be silenced when discussing these files or individuals implicated in them, and I'm currently fighting to have the stream fully reinstated. Thanks for watching. All right, good afternoon, everybody. It is Friday. It is Friday, February 2026. And welcome everybody back to Let's Talk Live here on the LTL Media Channel. A lot of people ask me, what does LTL stand for? Well, it stands for Let's Talk Live, because about 90% of the content here, we do it live shows. And what I try to do, just some housekeeping here, what I'll try to do is after the show, I'll place markers so you can skip ahead. If you want to skip to sections of the show, you can do that. So nice to see everybody here checking in. Good morning. Good morning. Well, it's good afternoon now. It might be morning where you are, but it's afternoon here. Jenny's over here. Thank you, Jenny, for stopping by. I appreciate you. Oh, look at this. Valley Girls already stepping it up, starting the show off with a $10 super sticker, 10-pound super sticker. I appreciate that. Rock is in the house. Nice to see you. And let's see. Kane says, I'll never trust the FBI more than I trust any of these PDF files. Yeah, I mean, it is questionable. They are the ones that are releasing it, right? They are the ones that are releasing it. But we're going to get to the brass tacks today. We're going to talk about the former Prince, Prince Andrew. We're going to talk about Virginia Giuffre and their relationship, and also Jeffrey Epstein's relationship with both of them. And what I want to do is I want to thank everybody that have, the new subscribers that have come into the channel that found my video that I dropped about 4 days ago. It now since has 170,000 views on it. And basically in that video, and I'm going to drop the link here in the chat, you can go back and watch that. When we start to go through data set 1, I actually messed up in data set 1. I forgot there's 4 folders in data set 1, and I've only done 1 folder. So I want to go back and make sure we go through those. So look for future live streams on those upcoming folders. But yeah, so we're going to do that. We're going to go through basically some current events that are going on that pertain to these 3 individuals, Jeffrey Epstein, Virginia, and the former Prince. And then we're going to get into a historical refresher. I have a presentation that I'm going to bring up. And then towards the end of the show, what I do want to do is go through that 2019 BBC interview with now the former Prince Andrew and his allegations connecting him to Jeffrey Epstein. And what I want to watch for is the deception, the lies, and not answering the question straight. And we will go through that this afternoon. But let's do this first. Let's go into some current events. And we have some confirmation that have come forward in the new allegations with the new drop. And
There
we'll
are
play through
new
this video here.
revelations from the latest release of the Jeffrey Epstein files, and pressure is mounting on those once close with the convicted sex offender. Now, in the UK, the spotlight remains on the former Prince Andrew. There are new details on this now infamous photograph of deceased accuser Virginia Giuffre. She alleged that the two had multiple sexual encounters when she was a teenager. Andrew denied the claim and reached an out-of-court settlement with her in 2022. He also called into question the validity of the photo, but an email seemingly from Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell confirms the photo is real. And many people, including Epstein survivors, are now criticizing the U.S. Justice Department over this latest release of files, thousands of which identify victims. One of those critics is my next guest, Lisa Phillips in Los Angeles. She suffered years of Epstein's abuse, and she's also the host of the From Now On podcast, and it shares stories of survivors and champions advocacy. Thank you so much for making time for us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Arthi.
Now, Lisa, survivors had wanted transparency and had wanted the files to be released, but it's my understanding, but they wanted that not like this, with these improper redactions. What's the reaction been like?
Well, the law said all documents were to be released by a certain date, and no survivor names were to be disclosed. I will be at Pam Bondi's hearing with the House Judiciary next week because the DOJ has violated all three of the requirements in our bill. Number one, to this day, many important documents still haven't been disclosed. Number two, the date set for full release has long passed.
Just going to pause this really quick. We need more people like Lisa, Lisa to step up. One of the survivors that's been very outspoken in this has been talking to Congress ever since stepping up and being a survivor of Jeffrey Epstein, and hopefully, getting out there and being able to change laws and putting pressure on our government to change laws about this. And, I was just thinking about this today. I was talking about a friend, and I know that a lot of these conversations now cross political lines. And I here on this channel on LTL Media, I don't give a shit what political party you're part of. If you're a Republican, if you're a Democrat, if you're a high-powered person in a position that is a CEO of a company or owns a company or does something, and you have connections or have had connections to Jeffrey Epstein, and there are strong allegations, you need to answer the tough questions as to why, who, what, and when, and where. I don't care if you're the president of the United States. If there are strong allegations and ties to Jeffrey Epstein and his criminal doings and his enterprise, then you need to answer the tough questions. Here we are. We are almost like a week out since this new data dump, since these new PDF files have been dropped. And still, no arrests. No one's been brought in for questioning. This is really getting buried in the media, in the mainstream media. We're not really hearing a lot about it. And I have to commend a lot of the people on X that have been doing the deep dive into these PDF files and this new data dump and exposing all of these high-powered people. And I don't care if it's someone that has multi millions of dollars in the bank or the lowest person in the totem pole, on the totem pole. If you are brought up and your name has strong allegations and ties to Jeffrey Epstein, you have questions that need to be answered. All right, let's keep playing through here.
And number three, the DOJ released the names of the survivors. The most important point here is they were supposed to redact the names and all the personal information of all the survivors, and they didn't do that. And I believe this was strategic and meant to be re-traumatizing and also punishing to put fear into the victims to stay silent.
I also wanted to ask your reaction to what we've heard from UK's Prime Minister Keir Starmer. He apologized to the victims of Jeffrey Epstein for his appointment of Peter Mandelson after revelations of the close ties with Epstein were made apparent in this latest release of documents. Does that apology feel like it goes far enough. And also to that point, we know that Mandelson is being investigated for sharing secrets, government secrets, but not necessarily. And we should make clear here that just because someone's name is mentioned in the files, it doesn't implicate wrongdoing. But there haven't been any investigations open to do with wrongdoing involving Epstein or any accusers. How does all of this sit with yourself and other survivors?
Well, I personally love to hear an apology because we don't get that in the US for someone just to say, you know what, I apologize for how this has impacted your life. So I commend him on that. Regarding Mendelsohn, I've always said this whole files doesn't always have to do with sexual activity with minors. It also has to do with holding government secrets. And I'm not sure how guilty he is of that, but he has to answer to that. And I do hope that he does come to the.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of the misconception in going through this too, is that, automatically people just think right away, oh, well, if it's a political figure and they've been mentioned, or a top CEO and they've been mentioned in these files, that they must have been engaged in all this, underage activity or prostitution. And she is, setting the record clear here that a lot of this, the allegations are in there as well, could be, uh, trading political secrets or being in political matters, criminal political matters.
US and provides testimony on that. And also Prince Andrew, a
Oh,
former
wow, look
Prince
at this.
Andrew, I hope that he does as well.
We have, and you've listed some of them now, we have seen an extraordinary amount of powerful names that have been listed off in the course of these documents and the release of them. And again, I want to be clear here that a name being mentioned doesn't necessarily implicate wrongdoing, but certainly in our conversations with survivors prior to this release, there had been comments from survivors saying, the public will be extraordinarily shocked to learn of who had ties to Jeffrey Epstein,
And
who
they're
may
not
have
doing
been
anything over it.
traveling with him or had connections.
Again, we're a week out. And this, it's not even just go from like a week. This has been known for a long time. And the first data dump was what, almost 8 months ago? And still nothing. Still nothing.
with him, communicating with him. How do you think the public reaction has been to some of that?
Well, that was the whole reason why we were fighting. It wasn't just because of what we went through individually, but it was also because, there's 1,200 survivors or more. And I personally know hundreds, and most of them don't speak out, but they have stories, and they have overlapping stories to ours. And we share a lot of information that has to do with not just people, but institutions that we brought forward. So there's a lot of information out there. We always knew it was going to be very dark and disturbing. My nervous system has not been the same since the last release. But it's necessary information to get out there that these powerful people, billionaires, elites, world leaders, a lot of them were up to no good. And so it does need to be exposed.
Okay.
I'm not quite sure how far people can be prosecuted, but I do believe that Congress needs to do something, and we need to keep going in this fight just to get answers.
It's a very uncomfortable moment for her. Let's go back here. You can see the pause. Let's play
Because
this
of what
thing.
we
Talk
went through.
about Congress actually doing something and talking about, these very powerful people being involved in very criminal activity. Watch this. Let's rewatch that. I noticed that when I first watched through this video.
Individually, but it was also because, there's 1,200 survivors or more. And I personally know hundreds, and most of them don't speak out, but they have stories, and they have overlapping stories to ours. And we share a lot of information that has to do with not just people, but institutions that we brought forward. So there's a lot of information out there. We always knew it was going to be very dark and disturbing. My nervous system has not been the same since the last release. But it's necessary information to get out there that these powerful people, billionaires, elites, world leaders, a lot of them were up to no good. And so it does need to be exposed. I'm not quite sure how far people can be prosecuted, but I do believe that
Wow.
Congress needs to do something, and we need to keep going in this fight just to get answers.
You know, Lisa, finally, I wanted to go back to
Brave.
something that you mentioned earlier, and that is that you feel that it was deliberate to leave those names, some of the victims' names, in the documents rather than redacting them as they perhaps should have been. You said that this was meant to re traumatize those victims. Of course, you are one of those individuals who suffered from Epstein's abuse. I want to know personally, how were you feeling when you took in those documents, when you see all of these discussions take place? How do you cope with that? How do you feel about it now?
Well, when it comes to the files being released and this whole journey for myself, I try to remove the emotional part of it because it's very personal. But I try to stick to the facts. And the facts are, Todd Blanche stood up there and said, this is over. This is all that's going to be released, and that nobody can be held accountable. But in that release, there was tons of names. There was
Yeah,
a lot of information
a lot
that
more.
people can connect the dots. And there's a lot of powerful people that are being highlighted right now for wrongdoing. And I like the fact that a lot of this information is coming out there because there's so many men for the last.
And I think, a lot of victims that are happy that this stuff is still continuing to come out, but there's been a lot of people that have been protesting too that have been victims. And I know that the DOJ had to do a lot of pulling back after that first data dump, the second wave of the data dump. And, when it did hit the internet, I actually just grabbed it and started downloading all of it because I knew that, within a quick cycle that this stuff could all go away. And when they were downloadable, I grabbed it right away. And we've seen now they have pulled stuff back and re-released it. You can't download on the DOJ website anymore. You have to painstakingly go through each file. To me, it's all by design. I think that they just threw 3 millions of pages at everybody and said, "Here, have at it," and didn't think that people would find ways to go through it. But we're seeing stuff now. I know there's a site that actually recreated Jeffrey Epstein's email box and has kind of uploaded all those emails that are in there, and you can search by the person's name. So if you want to look at like Prince Andrew or Elon Musk and see the back and forth conversations that they were having via email, you can do that. And people have come up with some pretty ingenious ways to sort through all of this data, but a lot of it's been painstakingly. I mean, I've been painstakingly going through a lot of it too. Trying to go through and source video clips or audio clips, certain documents and emails. I mean, there's so much. You're never going to be able to go through all of this. And yeah, and Nan has it right. I mean, they dumped the data, expected people to play 52 card pickup. That's exactly what's going on here. And it's seriously, I mean, it's by design. It's by design because they're like, oh, people are not going to go through every bit of this. I'm going to tell you there are, and people are coming up with very ingenious ways to do it. So let's finish this one out, and then we're going to go to my presentation to give you a little bit of history on Epstein, Andrew, and Virginia.
10, 20 years have said, I've not had nothing to do with Epstein. And things are coming out now. There's tons of emails, hundreds of emails going back and forth between them, even after he got his sweetheart deal. So there's a lot of explaining to do on that.
Lisa, I want to thank you for taking the time to share your reaction, the reaction of the community with us today.
Yeah. Very, very
Appreciate it.
brave young lady. Very, very brave young lady. All right, let's do this. Let's bring up my presentation. And again, trying a little bit something different here, do a Friday afternoon show. So if you catch this on replay, I know a lot of the people that have been watching lately have been at night, but I said, hey, we'll try this afternoon. Okay, let's pull up my presentation here. We'll go through this together, and we're going to get some history here. And then what I want to do is go and play the former Prince Andrew BBC interview, and we'll go through that today too. So I just want to put this statement out there. This live stream discusses publicly released court documents and investigation documents commonly referred to as the Epstein files. The appearance of a name, photo, email, or reference in these materials does not imply guilt or criminal wrongdoing. Allegations are not convictions. All individuals are presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty in the court of law. This context is presented for informational purposes only. All right, let's move on here. So we're going to look at the former Prince Andrew and Jeffrey Epstein's friendship or relationship, whatever you want to call it, criminal activities. I feel better calling it that, right? And let's see. So what we do is I want to get into facts versus speculation, allegations versus convictions. We're going to talk about civil matters here. And, I stick to the documents, the public statements, and the on-screen footage. I try to bring the most factual information that I can. And I want to remind everybody that this is a live show. And what I'll do is I'll try to place some chapter markers after the show. So if you want to skip to certain parts, you can do that. I always get the complaint, your intro is way too long. And I'm like, this is a live show. It's literally 60 seconds, just skip through it. All right, let's go on here. So let's give a little bit of a timeline here. So 1999 is the first connection. So you have the meeting. Andrew meets with Jeffrey Epstein through Ghislaine Maxwell in 2000, 2001. Documents show Andrew traveling with Epstein and Maxwell on Epstein's private jet. And we're going to go into the association. So the association is obviously Epstein is known as a wealthy financier with elite connections. And you go forward in the timeline here. No public criminal allegations against Epstein's are known at this time, and that's 1999. Okay. So we're going to now skip ahead. The socializing and the travel begins. So Epstein and Andrew develop a close friendship during social events, during private events. Epstein hosts Andrew at his residence in New York and London. And then you start seeing photos emerging showing Andrew socializing with Epstein and Ghislaine. And then we start moving on, and Andrew repeatedly takes private jets to various Epstein locations. All right, moving along in the timeline. So we have allegations made public. Giuffre claims start to surface in 2001. Virginia Giuffre alleges that she was trafficked by Epstein to Prince Andrew. At that time, it was Prince Andrew when she was 17 years old, prompting significant media scrutiny and Prince Andrew's ongoing denials. In London, she states in 2001 when she was 17, in New York and Epstein Island, which is Little St. James, on later occasions. And Andrew, at this point, and still long denied these claims, and still long denies these claims. Moving on here. So we have the criminal investigation into Jeffrey Epstein in 2005 through 2006. U.S. federal authorities begin investigating Epstein for sex crimes involving minors. We have the guilty plea in 2008. Epstein pleads guilty to solicitation of a minor in Florida. Then we have the public criticism, a plea deal, and a sentence face widespread public and media criticism. And then we have the registration. Epstein is required to register as a sex offender following his conviction. Now, we have the continued contact after the conviction. We have Andrew and Epstein meeting. In 2010, Andrew was photographed walking with Jeffrey Epstein in Central Park, raising significant controversy regarding their relationship post Epstein's conviction for soliciting a minor. So the friendship or relationship or whatever this is not cut off at this point. They're still meeting and still hanging out. So you have the contact continues. In 2010 to 2011, continued contact after conviction. In late 2010, Epstein's house arrest ends in September. Newly released DOJ documents show Andrew inviting Epstein to Buckingham Palace shortly after a highly controversial revelation. In February 2011, an email from Andrew to Epstein reads, quote, "We are in this together, urging further contact, even after public scrutiny of photos linking the then prince, to Epstein in Virginia." In 2011, media criticism grows over Andrew's association with Epstein. His position as UK trade envoy ends. Now we move ahead in the timeline. We have 2019, and we're going to go through that and play that through today on the show. BBC Night News interview, Prince Andrew, again, the prince at that time, denies allegations. 2019, Andrew's infamous BBC Nightly interview regards his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein was recorded on November 14, 2019 at Buckingham Palace and broadcast on November 16, 2019. Conducted by Emily Mathis, the interview aimed to address allegations, but was widely criticized for his lack of remorse. Moving on. Now we have 2019, the arrest and death of Jeffrey Epstein. July 2006, 2019, Epstein is arrested on federal charges of sex trafficking of minors. Now we have August 10, 2019, the death, wink, wink. Epstein dies in jail while waiting for trial, ruled a suicide, wink, wink. And we go on, his death reignites global scrutiny of his connections and associates in the aftermath. We move forward in the timeline. Allegations enter the courts. Civil filings implicate still then Prince Andrew. 2019, the U.S. legal case involving Jeffrey and Ghislaine Maxwell make many allegations public. In 2022, the civil suit settlement, out of court resolution reached. In 2022, Andrew settles a civil lawsuit with Virginia Giuffre, resulting in no admission of liability. It's unbelievable, while drawing significant media attention and prompting his withdrawal from the royal duties. And to this day, right now, they don't want him. They have thrown him out. The royal staff, if that's what you want to call it, I'm hearing he's been thrown out, and they want nothing to do with him. They will not work for him. And obviously, in this civil settlement, he states no wrongdoing at all. See, Virginia's passing on March 31st, 2025. Virginia Giuffre states in an Instagram post that she had been involved in a collision with a school bus traveling approximately 70 miles an hour. What is a school bus traveling at 70 miles an hour? She said that although she was initially banged up and bruised and returned home after the crash, her condition later worsened and she was taken to a hospital, according to Giuffre. Doctors informed her that she had gone into renal, I think it's renal failure, and has been, and only has 4 days to live. She was later discharged from the hospital. Members of Giuffre's family said the bus driver left the scene with a bus full of distressed children, stating he would file a police report. Who does that? Western Australia police later confirmed that on March 25th, 2025, they received a report from the bus driver regarding a minor collision between a bus and a car near Perth on March 24th, 2025, that had no injuries were reported. Giuffre dies by suicide at her home in Western Australia on April 25th, 2025. She was 41 years old. Absolutely scary shit. Absolutely scary shit. If you guys can do me a favor, smash that like button for me. I would appreciate it. It does wonders for the algorithm. Okay, so we have the release of the files moving forward in the timeline. So we have the new evidence in 2025. After much public outrage and attention, the DOJ releases previously sealed emails, photos, and videos to the public, revealing new details. October 2025, King Charles III formally strips Andrew of his prince title and other royal honors due to ongoing controversy. And then we have now, up to date, early 2026, the DOJ releases 3 million more documents, photos, videos related to Jeffrey Epstein. Discussions on accountability intensify, questioning the handling of past events. New allegations that Epstein trafficked another woman for Andrew in 2010. That's with this latest data dump. And the reports reveal that the associations continue to coordinate with Epstein, even when Andrew publicly denied contact. And here we are, a week out, no arrest, no one being brought in for questioning, no one being turned in, and no new investigations. So we're going to have to wait now for the Oversight Committee on February 26th. And now we're hearing House Committee and Oversight of the Government Reform Chairman James Cormier today announced that former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary Hillary Clinton have agreed to appear for transcribed film depositions to face questioning as part of the investigation related to Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell's crimes. Former President Clinton will appear for a deposition on February 27th, 2026, and former Secretary Clinton will appear for a deposition on February 26, 2026. Let me ask you guys, how many people think, and this is just, I don't understand how this is going to get handled. How many people think that we're going to hear a lot of Fifth Amendment privilege put into these testimonies? If you think we're going to hear a lot of Fifth Amendment insertion in these testimonies, put a 1 in the chat. If you don't think, put a 2. Because with the overmounting evidence that is in the Epstein files that have implicated the Clintons having strong ties to Epstein, how are they going to sit there and explain this away to the American people and the general public and the people around the world? How do you explain that away? You didn't take the plane just to go, sea-doing over on Epstein Island. You didn't take the plane to go pick up Chick-fil-A. So, let's move on. Okay, share my screen here. Okay, let's go back to 2020, and then we'll get into the BBC interview. This was from Virginia back in...
Welcome back to CBS This Morning. We are hearing from one of Jeffrey Epstein's alleged victims. Her name is Virginia Roberts Giuffre. In her first interview since Ghislaine Maxwell was denied bail this week, Maxwell is accused of helping Epstein sexually abuse underage girls. Now, this is the first time that Maxwell has faced criminal charges in connection with Epstein, despite accusations against her that extend back more than 2 decades now. Giuffre claims Maxwell, along with Epstein, recruited, groomed, and abused her. She lives in Australia now. She's married with 3 children, and we talked to her yesterday. She told us that she thinks Ghislaine Maxwell should spend the rest of her life behind bars.
She is a monster. She's worse than Epstein. She did things even worse than Epstein did. She was vicious, she was evil, and she was a woman.
Her lawyers have said Ghislaine Maxwell is not a Jeffrey Epstein, that she has been a victim of media spin.
They're doing their job, but I know that woman. I've known her really well. Put it this way. Epstein was Pinocchio and she was Geppetto. She was the guy controlling
the strings.
Jeffrey. Yep, she was pulling the strings. She had his money. He had her contacts, but Ghislaine was much more conniving and smart than Epstein ever was.
Virginia Roberts Giuffre says she first met Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell when she was just 16 and alleges that she was forced to have sex with Britain's Prince Andrew on 3 separate occasions. She was 17 at the time. He has denied that and says it's possible this picture with his arm around her waist was doctored.
Well, guess what? It's not. It's not. It's been confirmed. It's a real photo. I mean, come on, man. Doctored photo. Give me a break.
Is there any way you could have had sex with that young woman or any young woman trafficked by Jeffrey Epstein in any of his residences?
Look at him.
No.
Squirming.
Prince Andrew should be panicking. He knows he's guilty. He needs to be held accountable. We need to show the world that the rich and the mighty can fall too.
Do you think that Ghislaine's life is in danger?
Absolutely. If she squeals on some of the people that she has videos on, they won't be happy with her talking about that.
And when you say that she has videos, or she has knowledge of videos that exist about people,
shuffling
people
in the
like
seat
who?
gives
People
it away,
well-known
too.
names?
Very well-known names, the government officials, the politicians, the royalty, they were taping everybody every moment when you walked into the New York mansion, to Palm Beach, everything was being filmed.
Do you think people knew they were being taped?
No, I do not. Not at all.
Giuffre alleges Maxwell and Epstein were blackmailing the wealthy and the powerful. She says Maxwell's arrest marked a major turning point in the fight for justice.
Today, we announced charges against Ghislaine Maxwell
Oh, we're going to go through it,
for
Mary.
helping Jeffrey Epstein sexually exploit and abuse multiple minor girls.
It was just surreal. It was momentous. It's one of those life moments that I'll never forget.
Virginia, how did you meet her and what was her pitch to you?
I'm working at Mar-a-Lago, loving it. I'm working in the spa area. I was reading about anatomy and massage, and that's when Ghislaine came up to me and said, "Oh my God, you're reading a book about massage." And, you know, long story short, she told me that she knew of a man who was looking for a traveling masseuse. And if he liked me, then I would get educated and I would become a real massage therapist. So, yeah, I mean, it was a dream of a lifetime until I got there, and the abuse was immediate.
It has been reported that they would prey on young girls who were vulnerable.
She could smell the vulnerability on a person. I told them a little bit about my past and how I'd been abused.
And that's how they get in.
Immediately.
Because that's the cycle. You know, what they look for is people that have been, you know, beaten down, haven't had a good past, maybe with family or relationships, with friends, probably have been abused in, you know, in some prior situations, and then they look to build these people up, and that's the grooming process. They're building trust through that process, and then they get them and put them in very compromising positions and very uncomfortable positions, and then you're like, well, you know, as a person that's in this position, you just kind of go along with it, you know, and that's grooming. That's what happens. They build you up. They take you on these vacations. They give you money. They promise you, you know, worldly things, and that's how they get in with you. Sick.
It
Very
was
sick.
like the Cheshire smile is what I call it. And I asked her, I said, why are you having all these girls come in and sleep with your boyfriend? And she was like, so I don't have to do it all the time. You know, so she made like a joke out of it.
Why do you think she did it?
She did it to keep Jeffrey happy, for sure. She did it because she loves the control over people. Jeffrey was a sick pedophile, but she was the mastermind.
What would justice look like for you when it comes to Ghislaine Maxwell?
I would like to see Ghislaine stay in jail forever. I'd like
20
her to
years, that's all she
apologize
got.
for what she's done to me and so many others.
When Jeffrey Epstein took his own life, many of the victims/survivors felt that they had been robbed, that they did not get their day in court.
It would have been great to look at him in court and say, you know, you hurt me, you took away my innocence, you took away my youth, but he took that away from us too. I'm really hoping we get to do this with Ghislaine.
Does the buck stop with Ghislaine Maxwell, in your opinion?
No, the buck stops when every single monster gets held accountable and our children are safe. Not just my monsters, but all the monsters. And we need everyone's help.
Yeah.
Maxwell has pleaded not guilty to the charges against her and denies any wrongdoing. Virginia Roberts Giuffre's claims are not part of this indictment. Maxwell's attorneys declined to comment on her accusations.
Wow. Yeah. You know, that's where we're at. And, you know, Virginia passed 2025. Sad, very sad story. Well, I was shut down. I was shut down by the BBC for pulling up a video from 2019. We were just watching the 2019 then Prince Andrew interview, and they copyright struck me and shut me down. So fuck that. We're going to continue, and I'm going to try to get through this. And I've already written a copyright strike appeal, and we're going to see. I want my stream back. That was a great stream, and I have every right to do what we're doing here. I'm providing commentary. I'm providing for educational purposes. I can do this. This is under fair use. So I'm going to hit them, and they hit me with a copyright strike. The stream has been blocked. It cannot be shown. You know, and it's crazy because it's the particular subject. I'm telling you, that's what it is. and they just don't want people talking about this, and they don't want people scrutinizing things. But we're going to go over it. And I'm going to fuck that. We're going to do part 2 here. I got another 20 minutes of the video. Hey, if they shut me down this time, then I'm shut down, you know? And then we'll come back and we'll just come back stronger than ever. We'll provide better, some more content here, but they struck me. Yeah. I mean, they struck me, they shut me down, and I'm not going to be shut down. We're going to talk about this, and I'm going to do it again. And listen, if this time we do, then, I'm not going to keep trying to spark this thing up, but I want my stream back. That was a good stream, and it was educational, and we were breaking things down. And yeah, I don't care, Julie. They're not going to censor me. They're not going to shut me down. I'm going to talk about this. This needs to be out there in the open. There's not enough people talking about it, and I urge people that have YouTube channels, get out there and talk about this. No one's doing it. I'm only seeing it all over X. I haven't seen really anything. I haven't seen anything. I was at the gym today, and there's, the 19 million screens that are up on the TV, in the gym. I didn't see one thing this morning about the Epstein files. And I talked about this earlier on the show that I just did that got shut down. I don't care if you're the president. I don't care if you're a CEO of a company. I don't care if you're a Republican. I don't care if you're a Democrat. I don't care. If your name has been brought up in these files and there are very strong allegations with ties to you, to Jeffrey Epstein, then you have a lot of questions to be answered for these victims. And if it is found that you were involved in any criminal activity, then you need to go to trial and you need to be put away and you need to be never dealt with ever again. So we're going to bring this back up. We're going to keep rolling through this. It is absolute BS. And, look, I want to get through this interview. We're going to try to get through it. So I'm going to bring it back up. I appreciate everybody jumping back in here. And yeah, they just shut me down, silence me, cut the stream, copyright strike. Let's see. News stations will have an auto strike thing. Emily D. Baker is dealing with it. Yeah, I'm not going to be silenced. We're going to talk about this. And I don't care. What I was doing is under fair use. It's under fair use. We were just playing like clips from CBS, one of the biggest networks in the world, and they didn't shut me down. But I go over to the BBC and we're just pulling an interview up of Prince Andrew. And I was stopping and pausing and commentating, and they're going to shut me down? No. So we're going to try it again. Let's see. The Queen. The Queen says, let's see. Yeah, I'm not, believe me, they're not going to silence me. Other YouTubers have used the same interview for body language videos. The copyright is BS. Let's see. Ames says, sounds like they're censoring. What are they afraid of? It's because the president say people should move on from the Epstein matter? Well, I ain't moving on. We're going to keep talking about it. We're going to keep talking about it. Kcon says, you must keep publicizing these sick Fs. We got your back. Thank you. And if it's the first time over here, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Yeah, I want that stream back. That was a great stream. It was very informative. Thank you so much. It is typical BBC behavior. 100% this needs to be talked about. 100%. Oh, we're back. Look at that. We got it. We got it back. Look at. We were at the end. We were almost at the end. We almost got to the end. I'm not going to finish because I think they're going to block the stream. But we were literally at the end. We have another 3 minutes to go, and we need to wrap this one up. But they gave me the stream back. I think they're going to block it though. Once it posts, it's probably going to get blocked. But I appreciate all of your support here today, and I'm trying to make a difference in this and talk about this. It needs to be talked about. Unfortunately, the stream's probably going to get lost. They're probably going to block it, and I'm going to have to fight it and try to get it back. I wanted to finish, and I was like so close. We were so close to finishing. But if I continue, they're going to shut me down. They're going to shut me down. So, that's it. That is it. But we're going to keep going through this. I'm not going to let this stuff slip. We're going to keep going through these videos. I'm going to keep trying, and we're going to get these back. My next stream is going to be on Sunday, probably sometime before the Super Bowl, because I think the Super Bowl was start at 6 o'clock. So, I think that's the time, or is it later? What time does it start? 6? Let's see. I think it's 6. Or all the pregame stuff is 6. It starts at 6:30. So we're gonna have a stream before that. I think Nan is gonna join me on Sunday, and we're gonna go through some of the Jeffrey Epstein depositions. If you haven't met Nan, she's an attorney. She's been on my channel numerous amounts of times, and she's phenomenal. She's awesome. I always love her insight and her expertise. So if we can make that happen on Sunday, we're gonna do that. But probably going to lose this stream. I'm going to try to fight to get it back and get it posted. But anyway, I appreciate everybody hanging out. I have dinner at 5 o'clock at Mom's house tonight. So I'm going to head off here in a minute. It's Friday night tacos over at her house. So we're going to hang out and have some good Mexican food and chill and talk. So listen, I appreciate all the support. I appreciate all of you, all the new people that have come into the channel. Please go over and check out my catalog of the Epstein files, and I have that starting on this page on my homepage. You can go in there, and it's under the Disturbing Epstein Files folder, and you can get all of my live streams that are in there, all my videos, and I'm working on an amazing video right now that should be up in a couple days to a week, and it is going to be kind of like a basic 101 to the Epstein files, like how to go through them, how to access them, and what's in those files, and the correct way to talk about this stuff, to honor the victims and do it in a respectful way. And that's something that I've always done here on this channel. And to keep talking about this, because this is information that people need to know about, and everybody should be talking about this. And I talked about this earlier in my stream today. I don't care if you are the president of the United States, or you're a powerful CEO, or you're a head of a company, or whatever it is. If your name is in and implicated in the Epstein files and has strong ties to possible crimes that you were involved in, you need to be held accountable. There is no excuse for this. This ranges many, many, many victims, impacted so many lives. Okay. And questions need to be answered. People need to be brought up on charges. And this can never happen again, because if this slips through the cracks, if the government does not fully prosecute all of these people, I don't fucking care who you are. I don't care who you are. If you're not being prosecuted for this, what you are telling society as a whole is, we accept this. We're okay with it. And that allows the next monster out there to do this, or the next monster out there to continue to do stuff like this. So that's going to be it for this live stream. I hope that this one does post, but they're probably gonna nail it. And I'm gonna work on trying getting the first one back. So thank you all for watching here today. I hope that you found this very educational. I'm going to continue to do deep dives into the people and the allegations against the people that are mentioned in the Epstein files, and I want to educate people. I want people to know about this, because it's a very important thing that's going on in our society. And the thing is that there are a lot of minor children that have been affected by this, minor girls that have been affected by this, and their innocence are taken forever. And I don't want to see people ever have to go through something like this ever again. There needs to be strong laws and restrictions in place that this cannot happen again. And it starts with our government. If there's people that are involved in our fucking government that are doing this, they need to go, and they need to go to prison, and we need to get those people out of our society. So I appreciate all of you. If this is the first time over here, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. and come back and just look out for my live streams here. You can follow me on all of my social media accounts. It'll post there, or you can just find me, go to my homepage, and start accessing content there. All right, everybody, I'm going to head out for the evening. I will be back sometime on Sunday to go through some of the depositions and hopefully be able to do that with Nan. I'll talk to you guys all soon. Have a great day. Take care. Peace.